Hi guys, good afternoon. I hope you're all well. If you just give us a couple of seconds just to make sure that I've got all of my guests that are joining with me this afternoon. Okay, perfect. So here we are. This is the lovely Evangelia that I've been waiting for. So welcome, Evangelia.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. So let's get the live session kicked off now. So, okay, here we go. So welcome everybody to the accommodation Q&A at Kent. My name is Sian and I'm the assistant manager in the accommodation office. Along with me today we have Evangelia, who is a current student at Kent. So Evangelia, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. So my name is Eva and I'm currently a final year accounting and finance student. At the moment I'm living at Bishopton Court in Parkwood, but I have also lived in Darwin College, and I'm here to share my experiences and help you guys find the perfect accommodation.
Okay, so the purpose of the live today is that obviously we know living on campus is a huge part of your university experience. And we also know that it can be really tricky to make the decision between whether to live on campus or whether to source a private provider accommodation off campus. So what we want to do today is really just answer any questions or queries that you might have, and we'd really appreciate it if you could just pop any of your questions into the question box below, and then as the session goes on, myself and Evangelia will try and answer as many as we possibly can. So Evangelia is also just going to tell you today a little bit about her student experience on campus, why she loves to live on campus. She is a returning student, so she's been on campus now for 2 years. Is that right, Evangelia?
Yeah, I have been for 2 years on campus, twice.
Okay, so I think the main thing about living on campus is you do need to remember to make sure that you apply for accommodation. And once you have received your offer to study at Kent, and it can be an unconditional offer, a conditional offer, or an insurance offer, it doesn't matter. You can still make an application for accommodation. And to do that, you just need to visit the accommodation web pages. You'll see the Apply Now tab at the top of those web pages, and then you just continue on to register your student applicant ID number, and then you just create yourself a username and a password, and then you can go through and you can have a look at all the different types of accommodation that we have on campus, and we do have quite a lot at Kent. And then you can make up to 4 different preferences of the different types of accommodation that you'd like to stay in. Click submit, and then that's all you need to do until you then receive your A-level results in the August. So the first question that is coming in is, can students that live locally still apply to live on campus? And the simple answer to that is yes. It really doesn't matter where your postcode is. You can literally live 5 minutes down the road. You can still apply to live on campus. So Evangelia, would you like to tell us a little bit about living on campus?
Yes. So I'm an international student. I come from Greece, and because I wanted to live the university experience to the fullest, I applied before coming at Kent. I applied to live on campus, and I applied both for en-suite rooms or regular rooms, and I got a room in Darwin, a large room in Darwin. And I would strongly advise all the students, even returning students, even international students who are thinking of coming to Kent, to choose to live on campus, because that's how you experience the full university experience. And university is going to be 3, maximum 4 years. You won't have this experience again in your life, to live with housemates, to socialize with different ethnicities. And it's a great social place. I got to meet a lot of people. All of my friends are all over the world. I wouldn't have this experience unless I came here.
Perfect. So when you decided to come to Kent, what were your main factors in choosing accommodation? So how did you know what sort of accommodation might suit you?
So my first choice was en-suite accommodation, but to be honest, I wanted something. There are many different types of accommodations, and they have a different price. There is a price range, and I would prefer something cheaper. So my first choices were Darwin College and Parkwood, which I believe are the cheapest accommodations on campus. And at the beginning, I kind of, when I got my offer, I was thinking about it, did I make the right choice? But I can ensure everyone who's thinking of applying for live on Darwin or in Parkwood, even though it's not en-suite, you still have your privacy, and there are cleaners coming, and it's a great choice. They're both very sociable places. I believe are the most social places on campus. And
so when you first moved in, Evangelia, how did you start to make friends? How did you settle in? Because obviously, as you said, you're an international student. So to move to a completely different country and start university must have been a huge change for you. So how did you make that change and settle in?
Definitely, it was a big change. And I want to encourage everyone that if I manage to make friends, you can make friends. It's really easy, because you just have to think that everyone at uni is there to socialize, to meet new people, even local people. Most of them, they don't have friends around. So everyone was really friendly. All of my housemates that were really friendly. We're still friends. And also joining societies, trying to socialize with your people from your course. It's not just accommodation, but definitely living in the same house with 5 other people, you get to socialize and meet people eventually.
So you've lived in both Darwin College and Parkwood houses now. So how do you make that adjustment to having to share kitchen and bathroom facilities with complete strangers, in effect? So obviously when you first get there, you don't know these people. So how did you find that?
We're all university students, and we all have to share the same common areas. So we talked about it. We made a group chat. We have a group chat, and we just being considerate of each other. Like if I go in the kitchen and I cook something, I will clean for the next one to come, so they can have a clean space for them. It's all about communication. If you just talk with your housemates, it's fine.
So what's included in your accommodation?
So I'm living in a 5-bedroom house, and we're obviously 5 people sharing the house, and we have a bathroom, and we have 2 bathrooms, and then we have the kitchen, which has a fridge and a freezer, a microwave, a kettle, and I don't know how is the thing we cook things on the cooker, right? No.
The hobs on top of the cooker.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what else? That's the facilities in the house.
Okay.
And then, sorry, everything else is included as well. I wanted to mention this because it's one of the reasons that I really returned on campus after my 2nd year. Because as a 3rd year, I really wanted to focus on my studies. I didn't want to have to deal with managing the bills, the electricity bill, the water bill. It's just time consuming. And everything here is included, the Wi-Fi, all the utilities.
So what would be your advice for students who are currently looking to apply for accommodation on campus and they're unsure of where to live?
Just consider your budget. How much are you willing to spend? Because there are cheaper accommodations and of higher price that they offer more. But I've lived in the cheapest accommodations, and they still for me as a student, I always thought of having I really wanted to have a large desk so I can fit my laptop, my books, so I can study comfortably. So that was the main issue for me. And it just depends on your budget. Also, I chose to live on Parkwood because it's 5 minutes away from the business school, even though everything is online now. It's if I was hoping it won't be online, so I have to go in class. It's 5 minutes away. Even if I wake up 15 minutes before my class, I can get ready and be on time.
Perfect. So I can see a lot of questions dropping into my box here. So we're going to try and answer some of your questions. So the first one, is the accommodation mixed? So I think what this student probably means is the gender, for instance, mixed in accommodation? So the answer to that is yes, it is. So the majority of the accommodations are mixed gender. However, if you feel quite strongly and you would like to live in single sex accommodation, then when you make your application, there's an extra notes section basically, and you can just add in there that you would prefer single sex accommodation. And then when we start to make the allocations in the summer, we basically take that into consideration. And we always try our best to fulfill all of the student requests where we can. So we do have flats and houses that are single sex as well as mixed sex. Okay, let's have a look, see what else we've got here. As a biomedical science student, which accommodation has a majority of bioscience students? So I think that's quite a good question. So at Kent, we don't tend to allocate our students based on their courses that they're studying. I mean, did you by any chance, Angelia, were you in any accommodation that of the same students that were studying the same course? You weren't. So do you think that's a positive? That you were meeting people from different courses?
Yes, definitely. Because when we have free time, we would all gather in the kitchen and we talk about our courses, and you get to learn more things. It's more, I think it's more interesting socializing with people that they don't do the same thing as you. And I think I'm currently living with my housemates are doing one of them sociology, criminology, biosciences, English. And we're all different nationalities as well, which is it's a great thing to be in, a great environment to be in, because you get to learn so many things and socialize with different people.
Okay, so one of the questions that I've just seen, which is a good question. So basically, the question is, according to which criteria are the rooms allocated after the students have applied? So basically, we start to make the allocations based on the date of the application. So it's kind of the fairest way that we can allocate rooms, because we have lots of different types of accommodation on campus. The self-catered ensuite rooms, which there are 60% of on campus, do tend to be the most popular. So the fairest way to do that is to do it on a first come first serve basis. So those students that have made their application for accommodation earlier on in the year, for instance, are more likely to be allocated their first or second choice of accommodation. But again, that's probably why we do ask you to select 4 different preferences, so that we've got you know, a good idea of the type of accommodation that you wish to be placed in, so that we can do our best really to send you the type of room offer that you're hoping for. So have you ever applied for park catered accommodation, Evangelia? Has that something that's ever been of interest to you?
No, I haven't applied. I got the flex card on my first year, but I don't know if that's considered park catered.
It is, well, so basically the students that are in park catered accommodation have so there's the flex catering option, but there's also students that can apply for the bed and bistro option. So the flex catering option is where students can basically use I think it's 9 or 10 different outlets on campus, and they can go there and use a voucher of £10, and they can either split that into two separate vouchers of £5 each, or they can just use that whole £10 voucher. And that's exactly the same as the flexi catering option that you bought yourself in the first year. So did you want to tell us a little bit about the catering outlets?
The around campus?
Yeah.
That, well, I'm not really sure about if you have the flex. It was on my first year. I don't really remember, but I can. When I had the flex card, I used to get food from Mangoes,
Yeah.
which is, I don't remember in which college. Is it Elliott College?
Yeah, so Elliott College has Mungo. So basically how it works, each different college on campus has a different themed outlet. So in Darwin, you've got the more Mexican style catering outlet. In Elliott, I guess it's more American themed. You've got the Dolce Vita restaurant in King's College, which is like an international based restaurant. And then you've got the main dining hall in Rutherford, which is more canteen based food. So and then aside from that, there's quite a few different types of coffee shops on campus, and little cafes as well. So there's so many different catering outlets on campus. So yeah, it's a good place to socialize and also to meet up with friends, you know, in between lectures. Talking about the socialising, Evangelia, did you get involved at all in Kent Union or Student Union? Did you make use of the different social activities that they provide?
Yes, I have been part of the society that's considered using the Kent Union socializing activities. I've been in societies on my first year, and then yes, just I've been in the Greek Society. I have been in the Mauritian Society, and I used to do the Baking Society. We used to bake. That was a really nice society. We used to bake things. It was very fun, and we just had to pay, I think, £1, and I learned so many things from that. It saved my life as a student. And what else? And also, I don't know if this is considered socializing using the Kent Union activities. I was working this year as a student helper, and I met a lot of students through that, because we all had shifts. We had to go around campus, help students. It was a really good experience. And also, I've been a Kent Business School ambassador, and I got to know other ambassadors through there.
Yeah, so you would recommend being an ambassador on campus as well?
Yes, definitely.
Perfect. Okay. So have you ever lived off campus, Evangelia, or have you always lived on campus?
Yes, I have lived on campus I have lived out of campus on my second year.
Okay.
And if someone would consider living outside of campus, I would advise them to start looking for accommodation quite early, because Canterbury is a place that there is a high demand for houses. So students by January, most of the houses, they're all already rented by people for the next academic year. So you should start early. You should start looking for a house early. And it was quite stressful for me on my first year, because I just came to another country and I had to find housemates for the next year. So I was trying to go back on campus, come back on for my second year, but there was high demand on my second year and I couldn't get a room. So I had to stay outside of campus.
So obviously you prefer staying on campus, I'm gathering. So what are the real differences of being off campus to being on campus?
Main differences? Sorry, I didn't hear the question.
So what would you say is the main difference? So what's the main benefits to being on campus rather than being off campus?
For me, I would say the utilities, because I had to deal with the electricity bills, the water bills, and it was because I came from another country and I had never had to deal with bills, not even because I'm from Greece, because my parents would do this for me. And then I was on my second year, and I had to catch up with my studies, attend lectures, and I also had to be on the phone with the electricity company trying to sort out my bills. So it was stressful.
Yeah.
And I would definitely say that this. And I would say that the university, the campus environment seems safer than rather than living outside of campus, because I mean, it's a place where are only students and there is campus security all the time around. So I can take a walk at 10 p.m. at night and feel safe. I
Yeah.
wouldn't do this if I was outside of campus. And also, there are many. It's the university experience. It feels better. I feel more like a student. I feel more motivated because I see from my window. I see other people studying. I see other people carrying books, and that motivates me. It reminds me that I should study too.
So do you use, there's a huge library at the University of Kent on the campus. So do you make use of the library?
Yes, I go to the library very often. And I grab a coffee from the coffee shop, multiple coffees, and I stay there. And I really enjoy it because that also motivates me, because I see people studying so hard in the library, staying there for hours. And I also say, I'm going to finish this assignment. I'm going to take a good mark.
And touching what you said earlier actually about campus security, I think it's really worth mentioning that on the campus we do have a security team, they're security officers, and they do work 24/7, 365 days of the year. Aside from that, they will, if you're locked out, for instance, outside of the reception opening hours, they will come and meet you at your residence and let you back into your house. They will also, as Evangelia just said, if you walk home quite late at night, you can actually contact them and they will make sure that you get home safely if you are a bit worried about walking on your own. We do also have an app which you can download on your phone called Safe Zone. And that basically means that they can track you where you're going on campus. If you are, for instance, studying in a study room and you're on your own in a building and you're feeling a bit anxious, you can check yourself in and they'll know that you're studying there on your own, and then they will then every so often just check in on you to make sure you're okay. So I think that's a really good thing to remember if you are coming to Kent, is that we do have the Safe Zone app. I'm just going to see if we've got a few more questions regarding the accommodation that we haven't already answered in our chat. By all means, keep your questions coming in the box and we'll try and answer as many as we possibly can. Let's just have a quick look through. So somebody's asked here about the time for new admissions. So really, to be honest with you, I do think you'd need to contact the admissions department with regards to any admission questions. And also, do we provide teaching assistantships for PhD students? Again, I think the best department to contact would be the admissions department, and they'd be able to give you the correct information. I work for the accommodation office, so I don't want to give you any incorrect information. Are we expecting to hold in-person lessons in the autumn 2021? Yes, we are. So as far as we're concerned at the university at the moment, obviously with COVID, it can be quite a difficult situation and things do change quite quickly. But you know, the way it's going in the UK at the moment, it's definitely positive. And we are working fully towards students being back on campus and lectures being face-to-face as of September again. So fingers crossed that long may that continue. Another question, can you change from part catered to self-catered after the first year? So yes, you can. So let's just say, for instance, that you're allocated a room and you move in, and for any given reason you decide that you do want to move your room on campus, you just need to contact the accommodation office. And you fill out a form online, and then if there is availability in the room type that you want to move to, then they will move you, and it really is as simple as that. And it could be a whole host of reasons why you want to move. Quite often students will move in and then they start their courses and they'll make friends with people that are on their course, but they might live the other side of the campus and you just want to be closer to them. or you might find it more convenient, for instance, that maybe you use the gym a lot and actually you prefer to be down in Parkwood because that's where the gym is nearest to, really. So there's all different reasons why students want to move, and it really isn't a problem. You just contact the accommodation office. Okay, so it does look like we're coming to the end of our session now. So I don't know if anybody's got any last minute questions before we run out of time that myself or perhaps Evangelia would be able to answer. If not, or once our live session has ended and you do think of anything that you wish or you hadn't thought of at the time that you would have liked to have asked, please just contact the university. So if they're accommodation related, for instance, you can contact the accommodation team. Our email address is accom@kent.ac.uk, or you can contact us by phone. That's absolutely fine. And then we'll try and answer any queries that you have over email or telephone. Questions just popped in: which accommodation is nearest to the architecture building? Now, I think from memory, and I probably would need to double check this, that the architecture students study in the Marlow building. I'm not sure, Evangelia, if you'd know or not the answer to this question.
I think it's the Marlow. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the Marlow. And to be honest with you, the Marlow building is pretty centrally located. It's right next door to the library. So in terms of the nearest accommodation, you've got Tyler Court, you've got Elliott College, and then you've also got Keynes College, and they kind of are literally in a stone's throw distance from the Marlow building. So you'd still have quite a good choice of park catered and self-catered accommodation that you could apply for if you need to be near the architecture building. Okay, so we're running out of time now, so I just want to thank you all for joining the live session. I hope we were informative. Both myself and Evangelia, it's actually our first ever Instagram live we've done, so I hope that we were okay and we've answered as many queries as we possibly can, and we've just given you a little bit more information about how the accommodation works at the University of Kent. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Evangelia.
Thank you.
See you later.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. I don't know.